Today we are taking a look at a 24-year-old who has $161,000 in debt and has big aspirations to not only save for an emergency fund, but save for a down payment and potentially have kids in the future. So let's check out what's going on with the debt in this video. Okay, to start things off here, I feel like the past couple episodes of Millennial Real Life Budget Review, we have really been focusing on people who have high six-figure debt, and I'm seeing a lot of it due to student loans and then also just making some kind of dumb mistakes along the way. But let's go ahead and check out what this person has going on. First of all, they are a dentist who lives in Calgary, Canada, in Alberta. The biggest thing that they struggle with financially is saving up for a down payment. That's interesting that she says down payment because I'm seeing some other stuff going on. Also, they said their top 2 to 3 financial goals were to save up for a down payment, save for kids, and save for an emergency fund. I asked how much they had in their emergency fund currently, and they said $4,500. It says here in the notes, I am 24, just became a dentist a couple of months ago. My husband is 21 and is still in school for engineering. I am Indian Canadian. My husband is white. He really wanted to go to India and experience my culture, which is awesome. We did not plan for the trip and ended up getting in $15,000 in debt. The trip was $15,000. Whoa. On top of our $145,000 student loan debt, all of my student loans are private. Besides 2 of them, all of them are variable. Oh my. Okay. Let's go ahead and check out her budget and see what's going on. The good news is because she's a dentist, she's pulling in some big bucks right now. $8,500 in take home. And I'm only assuming once your husband graduates and he gets an engineering job, I mean, this total monthly take home is really going to like 1.5x, 2x. So I'm really excited about that because you guys are in some high paying jobs. Now it's interesting that you said that the down payment was the very first thing that you were struggling with, so maybe that just seems more urgent for you and that you really want to get into a house immediately. I'm not sure what your renting situation is like. If you're really in like a bad rental property that's just not going well, maybe that's the urgency here. But there are some foundational problems that I see that need to be addressed first before we can talk about really saving up for the down payment. The first thing is we have to get you equal to an emergency fund of 2 to 3 months of living expenses. Absolutely. That's your starter emergency fund. And I'm so happy to hear that you already have $4,500 set aside for emergencies. So I did a quick tally of what your basic fixed income or fixed expenses are. So we've got rent of $1,200, cell phone of $250. That seems really high. I'm assuming you're on a device payment plan with your cell phone carrier, and then a data plan. The emergency fund will help you with this and help lower that cell phone bill, because if you are paying for things like mobile protection, you don't need it because mobile protection is coming from your emergency fund. God forbid something happens to your phone, it gets run over, it stops working. The emergency fund is there to replace that phone. So really, if you're on any kind of mobile protection plan or device payment plan, you really need to look into your options and see what you can reduce or cancel. All right, so internet also looks high, $123, groceries $560, gas $250, car insurance looks high. Is this just for you, or does this include also your husband as well? Regardless, I added up all of those, and for your basic living expenses, those fixed expenses is about $2,700, which means a 2-month emergency fund is equal to $5,400, and a 3-month emergency fund would be about $8,000. So I'd really love for you to have $8,000 in your emergency fund. So if we're doing an $8,000 goal and you've got $4,500, we need $3,500 more. So really your budget should reflect putting as much money as possible towards the emergency fund very quickly, very fast. I want you to like immediately do that, and I think that's really doable for you knowing the other stuff that you have going on. You bring in a really high income and your expenses are relatively low. go. There are some little things that we could fix, but even here, I'm looking at your fund money. I'm assuming you really cut down on this for the sake of maybe submitting your budget to me. I have a hunch that it's probably higher, and that's totally okay. I just want you to realize that there are some expenses that could pop up that could prevent you from putting even more money towards the emergency fund. But if this is truly what you are spending, like the actual spend here, when you're filling this out, then I'm super impressed. Also, you have a net of $588 left over, which I want you to throw towards the emergency fund. So right now you had actually planned $1,400 into that emergency fund. You could even go higher. Like, you could almost get this to $2,000. And actually, I see this investing here. It looks like you already have retirement investing here of 15%, which is amazing. So I would zero this out temporarily. Remember, everything that we're doing here is temporary. This is a season while we get things under control. So I'm actually going to zero that out. And let's see, what did that do for your planned? Okay, that, and we're going to zero out your car fund. Okay, so what do we got here? Okay, I could pretty much do $2,000 towards the emergency fund. I'm also taking a look at your debt up here. $15,000 for a trip to India, that seems insane to me. I know that you're part Indian as well, so I'm wondering if there were family there. I don't know what the situation is. In any case, $15,000 for a vacation, knowing the situation that you're in, was not a smart decision. So I'm wondering, I'm curious if you're actually throwing a lot more money towards that credit card, because $1,400 as a minimum monthly payment doesn't seem right. I'm betting that you're actually putting even more money towards that credit card. So $14,000 at 22% interest for that credit card. And then we've got student loans here. These look like the minimum payments: $22,000, $28,000, $56,000, $40,000. That's a ton of student loans. So obviously those ones you're paying minimums on. If you are actually maximizing out payments on the credit card, I want you to pause on that and pay minimums. Like, let's say the minimum is only $225, $226. Then we've freed up another $1,000, $1,100, and let's see, you needed $3,500 more. You could easily knock out that emergency fund to $8,000 in 2 months. So that's kind of step number one. Let's say financial goals in order of priority. Hit 8K in emergency fund in about 2 months is what I would love to see here. So 2 months, then we're looking at $1,750 per month. $1,750 per month for the next 2 months. And then we're done with that. So that's goal number one. Once that's done, then we stop. All of that money gets shifted over to your debt, and this really needs to be addressed here. And what I did for you, and look at how much money you have left over. Now, this is under the assumption that you're making minimum payments on the credit card right now, currently, and we'll see what that actually is. I'm assuming it's going to be around 200, maybe less than that, considering the debt balance is smaller, but you also have really high interest. So let's say that you did have around $3,000 extra in your budget to really go after this thing. And I went ahead and plugged in your numbers into the debt reduction calculator by vertex42.com. And I did all of your student loans and your credit card. And actually, I'm going to change this payment to the $226 just as a way to kind of see this so you can visualize exactly how this is all going to work. But if you could do, I mean, an extra $3,000, this is insane, an extra $3,000 on top of the $2,000 that you're already putting in minimum. So let's say, that's $5,000 all in. So we're making that extra payment here. We've got the minimums here. So all in, everything is going towards that debt. Let's take a look at how this is going to work using the avalanche method. So we're paying off the debt with the highest interest rate, which would be that credit card. You could get that paid off easy in 5 months doing this plan. adding in an extra $3,000 to that. And here's how that looks. In the payment schedule tab, this is exactly what it's going to look like. So for June, for next month, you're going to be putting over $3,000 towards that credit card, and you're going to just be hammering this out for the rest of the summer until you're done in 5 months. Then that money gets shifted over to the next high interest debt, which is a student loan number 4. And what were we at number 4? 12%? Yeah, 12% for that one. And then you could have that easily paid off. This is fantastic for you. If you went on this trajectory, and this is not even factoring in your husband's income, if you keep going with this model, your husband comes in, starts bringing in a paycheck, and is contributing to maybe the down payment fund while you're working on the debt payoff, this would be fantastic. So we've got you debt-free in 3 years' time, doing an extra roughly $3,000 per month towards the debt. Now, if we did that, then you would have a little bit of money left over for a down payment. And maybe you don't want to do $3,000. You might want to do less than that and really go hard towards the down payment. But I'm really recommending for you, in order of priority, like if you want to sprint your way to the debt-free line, sprinting towards debt-free line, it would be an extra $3,000 per month towards debt. And then you could actually put, I don't even see like down payment in here. So we got to add down payment. I saw a car fund of $50, so I wasn't really quite sure what that was, but we got to put down payment fund in here and start building that up. And then we can open up a high yield savings account for your down payment, and or you could open up a brokerage account. So actually, I just did a video on how my husband and I have been able to save up $165,000 for our down payment. Now, we've done this over a long period of time, like 6 years, and that's due to a couple of factors, our location and kind of where we're at in our life. But if you want to check out that video, I will leave a link up to that here in the cards so that you can see exactly how I've divvied that up. But at the very least, you can open up a high yield savings account that's really earning a high interest bearing at like over 3%, and really start contributing, you know, even like $200 to this thing, and $200 a month. If we're talking about just a couple of years to really grind it out, and let's say, you know, you get to the halfway mark on your debt-free journey, maybe you dial it down a little bit and then you start building up the down payment. But what I want you to see is that the debt takes the priority here, and then the down payment soon follows after that. There's no way that you could still really get after that debt and also move yourself into a home, pay for moving expenses, closing costs, house maintenance, any kind of upgrades that you wanted to do, taxes and fees and insurance. That is a lot of responsibility on top of the $100K plus that you owe in the student loans. You would be in a situation where you come to resent the home, and that home ownership really isn't all that fun, which means it makes it really just a lot less appealing to really think about having new kids come into the world and being part of that financial chaos. You really want to come into this feeling financially confident and strong, especially when we're talking about being first-time homeowners, which is why I really want you to get after that debt very, very quickly. So the emergency fund goes away, or it gets fully funded in 2 months. Then you can really sprint towards that debt-free line in just a handful of years. Think about the opportunities of you raising your income over a span of 2-3 years, especially as a dentist, especially as an engineer. There are a ton of opportunities for growth in that regard. So the extra $3K, you could keep it as is, and then anytime that you and your husband get a raise, instead of throwing the extra towards the debt, you just keep the extra $3K, so $5K all in towards the debt. Any extra income from raises or salary adjustments could then go towards the down payment. So see how you're doing it simultaneously. The debt still gets a priority, but you're still working after that down payment. And in terms of saving for kids, I know you listed this as a financial goal. There are some unknowns when it comes to getting pregnant and having a baby. There's so many different factors, you know, whether it's trying to conceive, or maybe you have infertility issues, or maybe it's really easy and you get it on the first go, or maybe your child has complications at birth. You have complications during birth. There are a lot of different factors, so really taking a look at your health insurance to make sure that it's reflective of prenatal and postpartum care is one of the easiest things you can do for planning your finances for kids and for babies. Now, I've done a couple of videos on childcare, birth, medical expenses, so I will leave a link to a few videos for you down in the description box below for you to check out. That way you can kind of get yourself in a sense of like, okay, what's going on? Another thing that you can do financially speaking to prepare for kids is think about what your maternity leave would look like. Look into how much your employer would pay for you to go on maternity leave, or how much can you take an unpaid leave. And if you're taking unpaid leave, then we really need to factor in savings to accommodate and replace your lost income for the months that you're on maternity leave. So those are some ways that you can kind of start thinking about financially preparing for a baby. But right now, I think you've got really good financial goals already set up in place, and the fact that you make a stellar income is just like helping you out tremendously, because this debt reduction payoff plan is really getting you debt free in less than 3 years with all-in payment of $5,000. I think that's fantastic. If you want your budget anonymously reviewed, you can fill out the Google form below. The more details that you give me, the better recommendations that I can give you in turn. Now, if you want to take this deeper, much than me just kind of spewing all of this advice out on YouTube, if you actually really want to go for it with your financial goals this year and make a plan and make a change, check out my monthly coaching program, Budget Bootcamp. It is a 3-month program in which you and I meet virtually, privately over Zoom to talk about your financial goals, your budget, everything to get you organized so that you can get back to a place of unwavering financial confidence that leads to more fun and less payments. If you are into these types of videos, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not part of the Debt Free Millennials community, come on family, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. It is my goal to have 100,000 subscribers with the Debt Free Millennials family so that you can feel like one of us who is committed to this life of no payments and debt freedom. And I'll catch you in the next video.